All right, this is Chapter 3, Evaluation and Crime Prevention. Okay, so I always start out this class by looking at a number of crime prevention programs. Do you know if you know of any? In order to know if it works, we must evaluate it. So Chapter 3 looks at the different types of evaluation as well as the theory and measurement of those evaluations. So let's first start with impact evaluations. Those are looking and focusing on what changes after the introduction of the policy or program. So for example, it looks at treatment programs used in correctional settings and how they're evaluated for their effectiveness to reduce recidivism. It looks at changes in police patrol practices aimed at reducing the level of drug sales in an area, so on and so forth. Impact evaluations sometimes do cause more problems. You're evaluating a neighborhood and it's tough because neighborhoods can't be isolated. There's a lot of influences, so they're tough to do. There is a link here I put for the Campbell collaboration. It was an impact evaluation done, and I highly recommend reviewing this evaluation. All right, now we're going to look at process evaluations. They offer a detailed description of the program and its implementation. They typically include the mission statement of the program, the level and quality of staff, funding, obstacles. They're not good because they only look at the process and not at the impact evaluation. Here is an example of a process evaluation that was done of the Comprehensive Community Mental Health Services for Children and Their Families program. All right, now we're going to look at the cost-benefit evaluation. This looks at seeking to assess whether the costs of an intervention or program are justified by the benefits and outcomes. It is a type of process evaluation which requires that an impact evaluation be done at a good time, which is good. It looks at how do you place a value on burglaries that do not occur, or how do you place a monetary value on things such as the reduction of a fear of crime. Here is an example and link for the measuring the costs and benefits of crime and justice. All right, so now that we've looked at evaluations, what are those again? Remember the impact, I'll let you review them. Now let's look at the theory of measurement and evaluation. So there are some theoretical concerns, such as outcome myopia. It's where program evaluators are only concerned with whether a program works or not, and not how or why it works. Examples, why should the redesign of a parking deck have an impact on theft from autos? Or why would an educational program reduce aggressive behavior? These questions are often ignored. So program evaluators know it works but fail to tell us why it works. We also look at measurement issues. One problem involves measuring the key outcome variables when the intervention is geographically based. While some studies look at the citywide crime levels and use police data, many crime prevention programs are based on neighborhoods or small areas that do not coincide with reporting areas. Also, official data and victim surveys. There are problems here too. By asking questions about perception of changing crime may not be germane if the intervention involves lighting the neighborhood so residents go out at night. There also needs to look at follow-up periods. How long after an intervention will changes appear? Will it take 6 months, 12 months, 18 months? What will it take? So these are just some measurement issues. Example of why you need long, consistent follow-ups. This was a great YouTube video that showed some booking photos. This was 2001, 2008. It's called Drug Abuse, Faces Before and After. This gives you a good idea of why we need long, consistent follow-ups. All right, experimental design. Some say only evaluations using or approximating a true experimental design are worthy of consideration. They're also known as randomized control trial. This experimental design has become the gold standard in evaluation. Why is it preferred? Well, it is a true experiment. There is enough control over the evaluation, and there's pre-tests and post-tests. All right, there's scientific Maryland scale, which is called the SMS, to look at crime prevention evaluations, and there's 5 levels. So you can pose this here to look at those. The problem is, how do you assign a neighborhood as a control group? Again, you can't isolate a neighborhood because people are always coming and going. All right, there's also problems with experimental design evaluation because the methodology ends up driving the project rather than allowing the underlying theory to dictate the development of the project or its analysis. You can have a good experimental design, but find no impact of the project due to the fact that there was no theoretical reason to expect the intervention to work in the first place. Then you have a realistic evaluation. Extensive research has been done and completed with different groups of burglars using realistic approaches rather than experimental approaches in different settings across all different countries and using different approaches. The studies have provided a good deal of insight into the behaviors of burglars, and this information is very helpful. You can go to the National Institute of Justice into Preventing Crime, What Works, What Doesn't, What's Promising, and here is the link where you can find some really interesting information that talks all about this. All right, the SMS, continuing on. Here's the different levels. It talks about, for example, level 1, areas with surveillance have lower crime rates. Level 2, crime decreased after surveillance was installed. Level 3, crime decreased after surveillance was installed in the experimental area, but there was no decrease in the comparable control area. Level 4, victimization of premises under surveillance decreased compared to victimization of control premises. Level 5, victimization of premises randomly assigned to the surveillance decreased compared to the victimization of control premises. So please make sure you pause these, and it's covered in the book and you really understand the 5 levels of the SMS. All right, so for evaluation, what is needed? You need recognition of the problem, you need a theory, and you need methodology appropriate for the context of the problem. All right, that ends chapter 3.